It is estimated that 45,000 years ago, the Aboriginals emigrated from Africa to Australia. The Aboriginal tribes who settled in land lived by hunting and gathering. The Australian Aboriginal people developed musical instruments such as the didgeridoo, which is a national symbol and is still used today. They inhabited in the Kakadu National Park. They were experts in seeking out water and other supplies to live. Today, more than half of all Aboriginals live in towns, often on the outskirts of Australia in terrible conditions. Many others work as laborers on cattle ranches that have been taken over their land. Australia was initially thought of as the Southland filled with gold. The Dutch were the first to arrive to Australia, led by Willem Janssen in 1606. Between 1606 and 1770, about 54 European ships landed on Australia. In 1769, David Cook, a British navigator, headed to New Zealand. He then sailed across Australia's eastern coast and in 1770 claimed it for Britain and named it the New South Wales. During the European colonization, the Aborigines suffered. They were driven from their land and killed with unfamiliar diseases. They faced risk of starvation because they were nomadic hunters, and the surviving became slaves. Because of the overcrowded jails in Britain, the British sent ex-convicts to claim Australia. In 1788, Captain Arthur Phillip and his navy arrived to Australia. They settled at Camp Cove and established the first British colony. George Vancouver claimed the Albany region in 1791. Australia is part of the Commonwealth realm, or a group of independent countries with the same interests that share Queen Elizabeth II as their queen. In 1901, the 6 former British colonies in Australia agreed to confederate, so they formed the Commonwealth of Australia and its first federal government. Australia always had and still has a federal parliamentary democracy. The federal parliamentary democracy is influenced by the Republican government and Britain's government, but it also depends on the Parliament and the Queen. Ethnocentrism is the belief of superiority in your own ethnic group. It is presented in Australia because the British were very ethnocentric. They thought that they were superior to the indigenous people, and that's why they had to take over and kill all the Aborigines.
Before the arrival of the European, the Aboriginal people of Australia lived in caves or created temporary semicircular structures made out of timber and had bark roofs. As time passed, the architectural styles in Australia changed after the Europeans took over. The architecture was strongly influenced by the Australian climate and landscape, which include tall windows, high ceilings, and fans. Some important places in Australia are the Sydney Opera House and the Sydney Town Hall. The most important holiday is the Australia Day. The tradition of noticing the 26th of January began early in the 19th century. That was the day in 1788 when Captain Arthur Phillip, commander of the First Fleet from the Great Britain, and the first governor of New South Wales arrived at Sydney Cove. The raising of the Union flag symbolized British occupation of the eastern half of the continent.
Surfing is one of the main sports practiced in Australia. It is said that surfing in Australia started in the 1770s. Since the waves of the coasts are ideal, people from all over the world come to Australia just to enjoy the sport. Rugby football as a sport originated from United Kingdom. It was played in Australia since the 1820s, but the rules were officially written down in the 1840s. It is a still popular sport in Australia. Bush tucker is an Australian slang referred to the native snacks that Aborigines used to eat and still eat today. Some traditional bush tucker plates are quandong and crab cakes with mango papaya salsa. The kangaroo is not only Australia's animal symbol, it is also a traditional dinner plate served across Sydney. The roux is served in many different ways: in pizza, as a filet, raw, and as a tartare. The Australian meat pie basically consists of a hand-sized pastry filled with minced meat and gravy. This pie was first originated among the British early settlers. The English that came out to Australia already had their own pie versions, but the Australians developed and adapted the pie idea, creating the meat pie. Pie was always part of the English cuisine. This is one of the most consumed dishes in Australia. The Great Barrier Reef, located in Queensland and one of the 7 natural wonders of the world, is one of the main tourist attractions in Australia. Australia is a country with amazingly rich culture, extensive natural wonders, open spaces, extraordinary beaches, and cosmopolitan cities. Britain and Africa have played a major role in the development of Australia, but it is undeniably its own country today.